guys, it's the Retro Flora podcast. I'm Brenda.
And I'm Charmy, and we're just two crazy sisters with an opinion and a channel.
If you like true crime, conspiracies, and supernatural shit, then this is your channel.
Well, you guys, this is the first week of December.
Happy holidays, Grinches.
I love December. It's my birth month, and I just love Christmas, the feel of it. And I just hate January, so.
Christmas time for our family is like a huge thing. Like, my dad does not play. Like, we have a set schedule. We have things that we need to abide by. So yeah, Christmas time is fun. It's so family oriented, but it's a busy month for us.
And also empties my wallet.
Right. No matter how many hours I work, it empties my wallet. All right, so Charmy, today I got for you something a little different. It's a creepypasta.
Creepypasta. I thought you were gonna do a Christmas story. That would be different.
No.
Is a Christmas story related to a creepypasta?
No.
Well, that's just the same thing then.
It's creepy. It's a freaky fettuccine, a spooky spaghetti.
It's a creepy Christmas cookie. I tried. Okay, I tried.
Yeah,
I tried to make it Christmassy.
Definitely. But all right, it's gonna be a little different how we do this story because there's gonna be pictures and sometimes people just only listen. I'll describe the pictures as best as I can. But if you want to see the pictures, they will be on our
description box.
They'll be on the YouTube, and I'm probably gonna do a Instagram thread of all the pictures. So
okay,
let's go ahead and hop into this. Okay, so this is basically the story is like a bunch of tweets. So the tweet is from Gregory88, and he has a whole Twitter page. So if you do, we'll link that in the description if you ever want to click on his page and go through the links and see all the pictures and stuff like that. Well, not links, but threads. So this I'm not gonna say I'm just gonna say the date for now, so we know what time period this is. But I'm not gonna say the date for every tweet.
Okay.
But I'll say new tweet or something like that. So the date is October 29th, 2018, and it says from Earth. And it says something weird is happening in the woods outside my house, and I don't know what to do. I guess just to start at the beginning. This really isn't my house. It was my grandpa's, but I guess it's mine now. He died a couple of months ago, and because of some tricky paperwork, I'm apparently responsible for it now. He lived pretty far away up in the mountains by the lake. There are a couple other houses down the road, but they seem like they're empty for the season. I assume they're summer houses. I've been here for a few days and it's really pretty, but it's super quiet and chilly. And he took a couple of pictures of the little scenery. It just looks like woods. There's a lake, trees, the wilderness basically. My mom never talked about my grandpa, and I only met him once when I was really young. I think they had a bad relationship, but the few times I asked about it, she got annoyed and changed the subject. So basically, I don't know what I'm doing here. This guy from my grandpa's estate basically told me the house is mine now. So I came up here to sell it as fast as I can and go home. I guess it's not that easy just to sell a house, especially one in the middle of nowhere. At any rate, I think I'm alone up here, or at least I was. I figured I'd be up here for a couple weeks to get this all handled, and then I'd go home and be done with it. I'm on break from grad school, so I don't have any other responsibilities at the moment. But now weird things are starting to happen. It started on my third day here. There's a little town about 25 minutes away, and I had gone to get some food and supplies since I didn't know how long I was staying. When I got back that evening, there was something strange on my door. It was this artifact. I don't know what it's called. It was obviously handmade, and it's made of sticks and twine and has some other small bones tied to it in the middle of it. And this is what it looks like. So he came home and he found this on his door. Mm-hmm. So basically it looks like a triangle made out of sticks, and then has some twine wrapped around it to keep the triangle in place, and then in the middle of the triangle has some twine coming direct down the middle of it, and then there's bones tied to it.
Oh hell no.
So yeah, I'm gonna post that on so you guys can see that, and Charmy will put that on the YouTube video so you can see that. But yeah, I don't know how I'd feel if I came home and I saw that. That's creepy.
I'd be creeped out. I want to leave.
Especially since there's nobody. He said there's nobody in the houses around. So it's somebody either is walking and they were just haha, let me just put this on there. Or there's somebody else out there. I don't think too much of it at the time. I figured it was probably a kid from one of those other houses trying to mess with me. So I took it off the door and tossed it into the fireplace. And so this is the picture of him throwing it in the fireplace.
Okay, that's like rule number 1, never touch it. And rule number 2, don't burn it like that. I feel like that's something like you need a professional to get rid of.
I don't know. I don't think I would burn it, but I definitely would have took it off the door because it's freaking me out.
I don't know. I would have not touched that.
By the next morning, I was pretty much forgotten about it. And honestly, I had too much on my plate at the moment to worry about some kid's prank. So I got up that morning, made some breakfast, and went out on deck with some coffee. I was sitting here drinking my coffee when I noticed something hanging in a tree over the railing. It was another one of those artifacts. It was just like the last one, but it had a rock tied instead of bones. And as you can see, it's similar.
Yeah.
It's the same twine and triangle shape, but instead of the twine coming down the middle holding the bones, the rock is just like wrapped around the bottom half of the triangle, like directly in the middle of the bottom stick of the triangle. And then almost immediately I saw another one in a tree farther down by the ground, and I went down the deck steps to retrieve it, and then I started seeing even more of them. I found about 8 in total hanging in the trees all around my house. So yeah, it's pretty much like
that one has a crystal, right?
No, it's oh yeah, this one is a I can't tell if it's a crystal. Oh, I think it's a rock.
Oh, I thought it was a crystal.
So one of the triangle creepy things has like a rock tied on one of its sides.
Yeah.
And then one just has like a feather tied at the bottom.
Yeah.
And another one has a feather tied.
At this point, just leave.
Yeah, it's just like they all have like some weird stuff on them. Well, I mean, I guess not really weird. It's like normal things that you would find in forest, but someone put them together for their little weird triangle art thing. I don't know what they're doing, but if I saw that, I would be definitely terrified. I would be like, look, somebody else got to sell this house because I'm not.
Like, do I have to be here to sell?
Right. I'm gonna be like, I don't know this man. He may be my grandpa, but I don't know him. They all have different objects tied to them. Bones, feathers, that sort of thing. It was definitely weird, but I was more annoyed than anything, thinking that someone was in my yard decorating the trees with these ugly goth Christmas ornaments. Oh, there you go. There's your Christmas reference.
It is a Christmas creepypasta.
Also, if someone was trying to scare me, it was going to take more than some bullshit arts and crafts project to do the trick. I gathered all the artifacts together, burned them like the first one.
You know what? You just, like, this is like, I don't know. This is just creepy. Like, I would not have done that. I feel like you just insulted some people, some spirits, and
right.
They don't like
right.
that. God don't like ugly.
After I disposed of all the stick things, I took a shower, got dressed, and went back outside to do some basic tidying and whatnot. The deck and the yard are sort of overgrown, and the leaves are starting to fall and cover everything. Being a new homeowner is a lot of work, turns out. That was when I found something that actually did make me nervous. I was raking a corner of the yard when I saw something dark on the ground off in the trees. I couldn't tell what it was from afar, so I went to investigate. At first I thought it was a blanket, but when I got closer, it looked like a big sweatshirt or hoodie or something. I didn't want to touch it, but it was obviously clothing of some kind. And this is what the sweater he found, the hoodie. It's a blue hoodie just in the middle of...
So he's scared that there's life outside his house, even though it was proven life outside his house with those trinkets all around?
Well, it's about to get creepier. I looked around and realized it was a whole encampment. There was a couple of old socks, a pair of what I think was underwear, gross, a few old napkins scattered around, and a plastic spoon, and the creepiest of all, a beat up notebook. I flipped open the notebook, but nothing was written inside. A whole bunch of pages had been ripped out of it, so I think someone had been using it. Plus, you could sort of see the shadow of pin marks on the most recent page. I couldn't make out what had been written on it though. Anyway, that definitely freaked me out. It was clear someone was camping on my property and possibly trying to scare me out of the house. I wasn't really sure what to do about it though. What could I do? I definitely didn't sleep well that night.
Why are you still there?
That was the day before yesterday. The next morning, I sort of expected more weird artifacts to be outside, but I didn't see anything. And the encampment was gone, so I figured it was probably a homeless person passing through or something. I thought that that was the end of it and turned my attention back to the house. I realized the house had almost no cleaning products and I needed to pick up some supplies again. I drove into town and picked up some Windex and some spare light bulbs and some other stuff, then came home. The driveway ends a ways from the house, and then you have to trek down a path which bends around the side of the house to get in. I was walking around the house when I saw some movement across the yard near a tree. I froze dead in my tracks. Someone was standing under a tree staring at my house. They didn't see me though, since I was also partly behind some trees and a good distance away. Whoever it was, they were wearing the same dark hoodie I'd seen in the grass the day before. Quietly as I could, I set down my shopping bags next to me and slipped my phone out of my pocket. I managed to take a couple of pictures, but the person turned and disappeared into the woods. And so this is what they look like.
The fuck? That's some what's it, like secret society shit right there.
It's giving, I don't even know, it's basically somebody in a black cloak.
Yeah.
And you can't really, you can see parts of their face, and their face is looks like a little deformed, or it looks like something was thrown on.
He's a vampire.
Face, acid or something. It just, they don't look like
they don't look well.
I stood there for a couple of minutes, too nervous to move in case that person came back, but they didn't. So I picked up my bags and hurried inside. I picked up the phone to call the cops, but I put it back down because I didn't even know what I would tell them. Someone was looking at my house. Like any police officer would take me seriously. And like an idiot, I destroyed all the weird artifacts from before, so there wouldn't even be any evidence. I left it. I felt like there was nothing I could do.
Well, you took pictures.
That is true. But I don't know how much, things can show them pictures and show them that creepy person, and then what? They're gonna be like, it's a creepy person just looking at, I don't know what they would do. What can they legally do?
Trespassing.
Yeah, but you have to find the person to charge them with.
Just have a lookout or something.
Yeah, this is a small town. I don't know how much money they got to be doing that. I would be like, look, I need a gun. I was mad at myself and feeling scared all alone in the house, so I locked all the doors and left out the back. I went down to the lake because I didn't know where else to go. I just knew I didn't want to be in the house at that moment. I walked a ways down the lake shore, then I sat for a while looking out the water. I thought about getting into my car and just going home, but I felt like that would get me in trouble. There's all sorts of property tax stuff I don't understand. I felt trapped. Also, I couldn't decide if I was actually in any danger. When my grandfather died, it took a couple of months to actually get to the house, so...
Either your grandfather's into some creepy stuff like in Hereditary, or you're just... you just stumbled into something really bad.
Don't even get me started on that movie. That movie traumatizes me. When my grandfather died, it took me a couple months to actually get up to the house, so maybe somebody was squatting in the empty house. And now that I'm here, they might just leave on their own accord. It was starting to get dark, so I reluctantly headed back to the house. I walked up the stairs leading to the back of the house. Right before going inside, I got this weird chill. I made up my mind that I absolutely did not want to stay in this house overnight. I decided to get in my car and drive to the town to find a motel for the night. The house was all locked up and I already had my keys, so I went back around the house and towards the path that led to the driveway. That's when I saw her. The figure from before, standing right in the middle of my front lawn, staring straight at my house. I froze in place, completely in shock. I was practically right next to her, but it was almost as if she didn't see me. Then it hit me. She couldn't see me because she had no eyes. She had no fucking eyes. Just shiny skin over where her eyes should be.
And we can't discriminate against that.
Girl, look, if I see you don't have no eyes, I'm just gonna assume you can't see me because she's literally just staring straight at the house, so she clearly doesn't see him. And she had almost no hair at all. I wanted to run, but I felt like if I moved even a little, she'd hear me. As quietly as I could, I went to my phone. For my phone, I needed some sort of evidence to show the cops. It all felt like it was happening in slow motion. I felt sick to my stomach as I'm writing this, but I was able to get it on video. My heart is racing just thinking about this. I haven't been able to watch it since I recorded it, but here it is. So I'm gonna show you the video, okay?
I'm kind of scared.
Kind of creepy.
For a creepypasta, this is very well filmed.
Oh my god, she looked at him! Oh my god! It was so creepy. And then the camera's doing that whole Blair Witch running through the woods type thing right now. But basically he's filming her, and then she just abruptly just turns and stares in his direction, and he like runs, I guess. I'm assuming that's what he was doing. I ran back around the house and got inside. I scrambled upstairs and looked out my bedroom window at the front yard, but she had vanished.
And you're not leaving because, like, F this house.
Right. Remembering it now, it felt like it didn't really happen, like it was a nightmare or something. I called the cops and explained what had happened. I'm sure I sounded crazy, but they said they'd send someone in the morning and to keep my door locked. So that's where I am now, alone in the woods, freaking out.
The cops are in on it.
I know I won't be able to sleep tonight. I felt lightheaded and nauseous. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm scared shitless.
That's what you get for not leaving.
Be sympathetic. That's scary. The past couple of days have been really strange. I also have shitty reception up here, so I'm sorry for not updating. They sent the police officer yesterday morning, but it felt like it didn't accomplish anything. I explained everything to the cop and even took him to the clearing where I found the stuff, but it was all gone except for the notebook. And since the notebook was empty, it was basically useless. I felt like the cop didn't believe me. I showed him the photos I took of the stick things, and he said at worst it counted as vandalism, but without physical evidence of trespassing, they couldn't do anything. Even when I showed him the video, he still acted really skeptical.
Wait. Why didn't he just Google it?
Google what?
The stick stuff.
Oh, well, I don't know. What do you just Google? Stick triangle stuff?
Yeah. Stick triangle stuff, tied to bones, twine, like the way you described it. You can just type that in there.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he didn't want to know. Like, you know how there's like, once you go down that path, it's just like, dang, all that information you know, and it's even worse than not knowing. Maybe that's what it is. It's just like blissful ignorance, like la-di-da-di, he didn't see that. Right.
He's stupid.
He kept asking if I knew the person in the video. I think he thought I was pranking him or something. I ended up just getting frustrated. The cop said to call the station if something happened. After he left, I went back and got the notebook from the clearing. Maybe there was a way to figure out what was written on the last page. I don't know. Anyway, the cop drove away and I was alone again. It's so damn quiet up here. All I want to do is leave, but I feel like I can't. I'm so far away from home, and I can't even invite a friend up here to keep me company.
Why?
Yeah, I wonder why.
He ain't got no friends.
It says, and even if someone did, it would take them a couple of days. Well, I would invite all my friends. I'd be like, hey,
party.
Right.
In the woods.
Cabin in the woods party at my house. Like, stay as long as you need shelter. Come stay here. Like, we're not doing this alone. I haven't seen the woman from before, but I feel like she's still out there. And other weird things are happening too. I took a walk around the lake yesterday because I wanted to look at the other houses in the area. Maybe see if someone else had noticed anything weird. But they're all empty. Every house is totally dark and there are no cars in any of their driveways. I haven't seen a single person at all except once. Well, sort of. After I came back from my walk, I was out on deck and saw a boat in the water way off in the distance. They weren't moving. They stayed there all afternoon. I feel like they were watching me. They actually stayed out there in the same place until it got too dark to see anything anymore. Normally, I think they were just fishing if it weren't for all that happened the day before. And the fact that all of these houses seem empty, where did they come from? The boat was gone this morning, so who knows? I microwaved some oatmeal for breakfast and took it down to the dock near the water. It's weird, but I sort of feel safer down here. The water makes me feel less stressed, I guess. I kind of feel like time goes by faster when I'm by the lake. It's like meditative or whatever. Anyway, I was actually starting to feel a little bit better about everything this morning, if it wasn't for what happened next. I had finished my oatmeal and I started walking back towards the house when I noticed something in the water. It was in this little inlet by the shore. It was small and white, and at first I thought it was brightly colored rock, but I wasn't sure. It seemed too round.
Could be a pearl.
Yeah, it looks kind of like, it just looks like a white ball in some water.
Yeah.
Probably against my better judgment, I took off my shoes and went into the water to retrieve it. It was an eyeball, a fucking eyeball. Oh my god, it's an eyeball.
But honestly, it didn't look like that before. It looked very small in the other picture.
Yeah, it does. So I wonder if like this is a lot bigger than to scale on the picture.
I don't know. I feel like an eyeball wouldn't last that long in water.
We don't know how long the eyeball was in the water. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I know it's a creepypasta and everything, but Like, it's not real, but it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, we don't know how long the eyeball has been in the water. It doesn't look like it's been in the water long. This has to be from an animal, right? Please tell me this is from a big fish or something.
A big fish would not look like that.
But he is in the wilderness, so I can understand thinking like this is an animal, like, you know.
But it's perfectly intact.
Well,
you know, like
someone's not attached to the
well,
body.
yeah.
But
like someone like scooped out with a spoon, like a wolf wouldn't do that. A fish wouldn't do that to another fish. It would be all ripped up, you know.
I don't know. It just makes sense that it could have been something of an animal. I threw it back into the water and hustled back up to the house.
Why? It's evidence.
Girl, ain't nobody carrying this eyeball back into the house.
You'll be like, this is why the cops don't take you seriously.
Girl, I don't think this is gonna do anything. They're probably gonna be like, oh, you have an eyeball. Wow, we're in the wilderness. How do I know you didn't just take this out? Like, the cops think that he's like pulling their leg or something. I washed my hands in the sink and then sat on the couch for a long time. I didn't know what was going on. I can't believe I picked that up out of the water. I still feel gross. And to make matters worse, the boat is back out there. It showed up again this afternoon, and it's just sitting there in the same place as yesterday. Are they watching me from the boat? Okay, so it's been a couple of days, probably about like maybe a week. And then he says, I keep hearing things at night. I stand on the deck and I feel like I can hear things moving through the trees. It's probably just a deer or something, but I can't help imagining it's something else. I'm sure I'm making it out to be worse than it is. Are deer nocturnal? Sir, you are not making it out to be worse than it is. After everything that's happened, I feel like it's smart to like conclude that some weird stuff is happening.
Like, dude, leave.
I'm sorry, my family would have been mad. We would have lost out on some money, but I can't. I'm not
like,
saying.
Do you really need to be there to sell it though? Can't you do it to a realtor?
I honestly have no idea how this works, so I don't know. I would just been like, I'm out. Like, I'm a scaredy cat. I'm out. Okay, sorry. I see them out on the road sometimes. The deer. He's talking about deer. Sorry. He kind of like stopped in the middle of it. When I'm driving into town, I try not to think about it. But last night it was worse. I heard screams. That sounds so stupid to say, but I don't know what else to call it. I was brushing my teeth and I heard something outside the bathroom window. That is one of my biggest fears, to look out the window and somebody be staring there or like see something coming towards the window. I know, like, I live in a second story, but that just, I don't care. Like, that, I don't like that. I'm sure it was an animal, but my toothbrush was buzzing, so I can't be so sure. And then this morning, I found the bloody remains of something right in the middle of my yard. It was literally intestines, and they look fresh. I feel like I can't even post something like that to Twitter. Probably not, so don't do it. Don't do it, because I'm looking and he posted an image. I don't even know if I'm gonna click it. Maybe I should click it, but you know, I am scared to see what the image is, but also, like, we live in 2023, so I'm also scared of getting a virus. So
yeah.
I don't think it's a virus, though. I'll read the comments to see what people say, but I don't think it's a virus. But I am kind of scared to see this picture. I will not be posting pictures of intestines if that's what this is. So if you want to see it, I will post this part in the thread and you can, like, click it. Like, it's gonna get flagged if I post it. I don't know what to do. Maybe I can upload it separately and share the link or something. Fair warning, this is pretty gross, so don't look at it if you're squeamish. I'm sure it's an animal, but what did this? And why was it left right in front of my house? Okay, I clicked it, but, like, the image is gone.
Okay.
This is, I have to remember, this came out 2018, so it's been some time. Yeah, sorry, it's disgusting. Anyway, I scooped it up with a shovel and flung them into the woods.
You know, you're saying all this and you're not leaving. Like, what?
Please don't leave. I need to know what's going on.
No, you don't.
No, I need to know what's going on.
No, you don't either. You don't need to know.
He just flung it into the woods. Whoop! You just yeeted it. I flung them into the woods away from my house. I don't know if bears are up here, but I couldn't leave it. And besides, animal guts were the least of my worries right now. I have other things on my mind.
Like getting the heck out of there.
I've been trying to figure out what's written in the notebook from the woods. I've had it for a couple days, and I can see faint letters, but I can't make them out. A bunch of people replied and told me to do the pencil or charcoal rubbing.
That's what I said. I was thinking, like, just get a pencil, charcoal, and rub on it. You'll see what's the letters.
But I didn't have anything like that.
Okay, what do you have?
Okay, but remember, he didn't plan to stay here long. He's not.
You don't have one pencil?
Probably not.
Oh my God.
His grandfather didn't believe in pencils, apparently.
But you got a store you can go get a pencil from. You got all those other supplies.
Well, yeah, now he has to leave to go get it.
He's stupid.
Charmy, stop.
It's why people end up dead because of him.
No, I'm sure there's a reason why he's not leaving. I don't know what it is, but
because he's stupid.
I found a bunch of pens, but no pencils, so I had to go back into town. It was actually really hard to find charcoal. I finally had some luck at this little hardware store. The box didn't even have a price tag on it, so I feel like it had been sitting on the shelf for years. It seemed like people in this town were starting to recognize me. I don't like it. I didn't plan to be here that long, but it looks like I might not have a choice. People are nice enough, but it seems like the kind of town where everyone knows everyone, and I definitely didn't belong. When I was in the hardware store, these little kids were following me around, giggling and making fun of me.
The whole town is in on it, I'm telling you. Like, they're all a bunch of demon worshippers, and they're trying to get him.
I think they were twins. I couldn't really hear what they were saying, but I'm sure they were making fun of me because little kids are jerks.
That is true. That is so true.
On the way out of town, I stopped at the grocery store, but they were out of some of the things I wanted. It seems like they're always out of stuff. They've been out of eggs for a couple days, so I got some Pop-Tarts and stuff and left. Anyway, the notebook, I've actually been putting it off for most of the afternoon because I wasn't sure. I wanted to find out what the woman was writing it. I can't ignore it forever. I'm gonna eat dinner and I guess try the charcoal. I'll be back in a minute. First of all, why are you waiting tonight to do this? I feel like this is the prime. This is when you do this during the day.
He's already stupid. We need to establish this.
Jesus, I did the charcoal rubbing over the most recent page in the book, like people were telling me to. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. I'm sort of freaking out. And so he took a picture of the charcoal rubbing, and on the page, like literally just written, kind of like standards, just constantly just written on the page, says, "They took my eyes."
So it was the person with the no eyes.
Yeah. But
how'd she write it?
Girl, I don't, well, as you can see, it's kind of, well,
I mean, it's still in straight lines.
It's in straight lines until like towards the bottom where it's not in straight lines anymore.
But you still started with straight lines. Like, they took your eyes in the process of you writing this?
Look, you're asking all the wrong questions. The question is, this is creeping me out. Why did they take your eyes? Why are you standing outside my house? And why this town ain't got no eggs? Okay? Like, and twins falling around.
Why is this main character still in this house?
I called my mom yesterday. I wanted to see if she knew anything about this place. She said I've been there before when I was really young, and I don't remember any of that. I tried to ask her again why she never got along with my grandfather, but she's so cagey about it. She grew up in a town nearby, and my grandfather didn't move into this house until my mom left for school. I guess she never really came back. I talked to her for a little bit, but the reception here is pretty spotty. She asked me if there's still wine in the cellar, and I told her there wasn't a cellar, but she said there is, down in the basement, off to the corner. After she hung up, I went downstairs to look, and she was right.
This is Hereditary. I'm just telling you. This is Hereditary.
I don't even think Hereditary is out yet.
I think it is. I don't know.
It's 2018. I don't know when Hereditary came out.
Let me see. It came out...
Drumroll, please.
It came out 2018, that same year.
In June, so yeah, it came out after this. So I mean, it came out before this, so maybe, I don't know. There's a bunch of old antique stuff in the basement, and behind some filing cabinets, there's a dusty little wine cellar. I can't believe I missed it at first. It's full of wine, and some of it's really old. I don't even know what that is, but it's freaking me out. Some old plaque that's down there. I don't really know, like, what's carved into it, though.
It looks like people. Like a bunch of people.
There are also these weird wooden wine stoppers all over the place. And they look at this. This looks like stuff that my grandpa would have at his house.
That's why I never like being at his house.
It's some weird, like, knickknacks. It's like little wine stoppers. One's like a dog. One's like this weird, creepy guy in a bolo hat staring at you. I don't know, man. When you see these pictures, you can just see for yourself because they're weird. And from the looks of it, it seems like nobody's been down here for a while. Poor guy. And it's a picture of this dead rat. And he's, like, in, like, some pretty far along stages of decomp. So, ew. If you want to see that picture, it'll be up there. But that's the description you're getting. Ew. And look at some of these bottles. I don't know anything about wine. I wonder if they're good. Anyway, at least I have a surplus of alcohol down here to take my mind off of the weird things that's been happening lately. And here's another picture of some wine. From 1864. This wine is from 1864. I don't know if I drink wine from 1864 because my mind's gonna be like, ew, germs, even though there's probably gonna be no germs in there whatsoever. But that doesn't matter. My mind's gonna be like, ew, it's old. Why are you drinking this?
I'll be like, ew, I'm gonna sell it for a lot of money.
Ew, I'm gonna sell it for a lot of money. Okay. You mean yay? This house keeps surprising me. I keep finding weird shit around the property. Like there's a collapsed shed in the back a little ways through the trees. It's not that strange, I guess, but I can't help overthinking everything I see now. A little ways from the shed, I found this in the middle of the clearing. What is it? And it looks like a bunny covered in
a rusty like, ceramic.
The paint's like fading off this bunny. None of it makes sense. And there's something else I found that I can't stop thinking about. There's so much junk around the house, and I'm trying to clean it up, partly because it'll help this place sell faster, but also to keep my mind off things. I kept sorting through some old debris and found these old rusty letters in a pile on the ground. Partly under the foundation, I could see some nail holes on the side of the house, so I think they were on the house at one point. I know sometimes people give lake houses names. I can't figure out what they might have said though. I bought them inside and laid them out on the kitchen floor to see if I could make sense of them. But no luck so far. Maybe someone else can figure it out. Sorry for not updating in a while. The reception here is terrible and I haven't been able to get Twitter to load all that often. At least there's lots of wine in the cellar, so I haven't been too bored. I've mostly been trying to keep busy getting the house in shape to sell. A realtor is supposed to come up here next week to help me formally list it, which is good because I'd like to get out of here. There's only one restaurant in this whole town from what I can tell. I went there to eat and the whole experience was sort of bizarre. I'm not sure how to explain it. Anyway, I ordered the eggs Benedict, sorry, there's no Arnold, off the menu. The waitress had a pretty chill attitude, but nothing out of the ordinary. But then she brought me my food. They totally forgot the eggs on my eggs Benedict. It's just ham and holiday sauce. And so here's a picture.
Okay.
It's literally just a ham and holiday sauce. Like, there's no eggs. I called the waitress back and told her she forgot my eggs, and all she said was, "We don't have that." I asked...
It's on the menu.
Well, hold on. Let me get to this. I asked her how a diner could be out of eggs, especially early in the day. She said sorry, walked away. It was so weird. I was confused, so I took a second look at the menu, and I realized the description doesn't actually list eggs in the Benedict. And then I realized eggs aren't listed anywhere on the menu, even in the sides. So here's a picture of the menu.
Wait, why didn't you just say we don't have eggs?
Girl, I don't know. I work there.
Like that.
So
say we don't have eggs. You read it wrong. Like that's all she had to say.
Yeah, they don't have no eggs.
Well, maybe eggs are devil's food. I don't know.
They have eyeballs and legs, but they do not have eggs. What kind of diner doesn't have eggs at all? This might make sense in a vegan restaurant or something like that, but they have meat all over the menu and I can't figure it out. Also, on my way out, there was this family in a booth sort of watching me leave. They were all being really quiet in a sort of obvious way. They had 2 twin girls with them. I'm definitely not coming back here. I was thinking about it the whole way home. There are too many things that don't make sense, and I don't feel any closer to figuring it out. But one thing seems clear, I'm not welcome here. When I got home, I found something folded up and wedged in my front door near the handle. And so here's the picture. Someone clearly wants me gone. And so the next picture is them opening the note that was lodged in the door, and it says leave.
Well, you don't have to tell me twice. I'm out.
Girl. Like, you tell, literally, I saw this TikTok post, and it was like, this girl came home, and a ghost had written on her mirror, get out, and she literally was packing her stuff, and she left. Yeah. And girl, same, because, like, ghost tell me get out, like, I'm leaving. Like, you can see me, I can't see you, so that's a problem. It was written on the back of a tag of some sort. I suspect that it was the eyeless woman from before. I haven't seen her, but I think she's still out there. And so it's literally written on the back of a tag. Which is kind of...
Why would he think that's an eyeless woman, though?
Girl, I don't know.
And plus, she don't have no eyes.
I think something bad is coming. I'm going to pop another bottle of wine. I don't know what else to do right now.
You could leave.
Yeah, I know. He's not leaving. I would have been left. You don't have to tell me twice to leave. I'm leaving. I saw something out in the woods today, so it's a new day. I've been trying not to spend all my time at the house since being cooped up all the time makes me feel crazy. Even though it might not be super safe to be alone in the woods, I still feel better than being home all the time. God, I can't believe I just referred to this place as home. I've been here too long.
Yes, you have.
Anyway, I was taking a walk today. These woods would be so pretty if I didn't feel like someone was going to murder me out here. I was almost enjoying myself when I stumbled into a clearing and found something strange. There was a single filthy chair overlooking a ledge. It didn't seem creepy at first, but then I got this funny feeling, so I took out my phone and pulled up my map app. And sure enough, the chair was pointed in the exact direction of my house. I was probably a mile away from the house at this point, but it was still weird.
Yeah.
You
gonna leave now?
Girl, like, it's just too many red flags that I would have been dipped, because why are you watching me? Like, sitting in this filthy chair. First of all, chair filthy. And you sitting there watching me. That's creepy. It made me feel queasy, and I didn't want to stick around, so I hustled out of there. But I barely walked 30 feet when I found something else, something way worse. I don't even know how to describe it. What the hell is this? And so here's this picture, and girl, what the hell is this?
And I bet you still ain't gonna leave.
So basically, it's like on a rock. It's like somebody drew a triangle and like I don't know, like dark, like charcoal, chalk, crayon.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then there's the skull of an animal, and then there's like little shells just placed around it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really weird. Obviously, Charmy's gonna put the picture up, but it's just, yeah, if I saw that, I would freak out too. I took a video of it. It freaked me out, but I was mesmerized by it at the same time. I couldn't stop staring at it. I felt like I was in a daze. And so here's the video, and it's literally some type of weird bug crawling on this skull.
Yeah, just leave.
That's Charmy's advice for you. Just leave. When in doubt, leave.
Yeah.
It seems like every day there's something new, but I'm not closer to understanding what's happening out here or why. I finally pulled myself away and practically stumbled away from the rock. I felt dizzy walking away. I just wanted to go back home. I started back in the direction of my house, and then that's when I saw her. That woman from before. She was standing on a hill, seemingly staring at nothing. I darted behind a nearby tree, but luckily I didn't think she saw me. I hadn't seen her in weeks, but I knew she was still out there. I took a video from behind the tree, and I don't even know why. It's not like it'll do any good, but at least I have proof I wasn't just imagining any of this. And so here's the video. This video is really...
At this point, you have so much evidence.
Yeah, but the evidence doesn't prove anything except for there's somebody prowling around, and not just only on your property. But yeah, look at the video. Doesn't she look like she's floating?
Yeah.
Oh, heck no. Eventually, she left the hill and disappeared into the woods. Once I was sure she was gone, I left the tree and practically ran back home. The whole way back, I kept expecting her to appear again and attack me or something. I don't understand what she's doing out here. Is she a witch? That sounds so stupid, but I don't know how to explain any of this. Those weird stick artifacts, and now this thing on the rock. It feels like fucking witchcraft or something. And who's on that boat I keep seeing out there on the lake? Why is everyone in town so weird? At this point, I just want some answers. I feel like I'm getting close to them. I'm just scared of what they might be. I found out what those letters spell. I basically forgot about it after finding them outside the house. I put them in the back of the closet, pretty much stopped thinking about them. But yesterday I found something else. There's this little alcove upstairs with built-in shelves and a bunch of old books, sort of a mini library. I was flipping through some of them, looking for something to read, when I came across this little book about wine. Tucked inside were a couple of old Polaroid photos. They were pretty faded, so it was hard to make out what they were. The first one was pretty unremarkable. It looked like it was just photos of trees outside. The second one was even blurrier. For a minute, I didn't know what I was looking at, but then I realized it was of the house and the letters I found on the ground a couple of weeks ago. The photo was super fuzzy, so it took me a second, but I was able to make it out. Deepwater Chapel. This is so weird. I've never heard of that name before. Was my house a church or something? I spent the afternoon going through all the other books in the library, but I didn't find any other pictures. I don't know what to make of this. I'll let you know if I find anything else, but yeah, I don't know. She was here. That woman was in my house. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I can barely type. Sorry. I'll try to explain. Alright, so I was in the woods out back yesterday when it started pouring. It happened really suddenly, and even though I wasn't far from the house, I got soaked anyway. It rained for most of the evening. I left my clothes by the fireplace to dry and ended up going to bed early. Or I guess it was today. Sorry, I'm still not really awake. Anyway, I had this awful dream tonight. Sorry if I'm rambling a bit. I'm still trying to collect my thoughts. Sorry, my hands are shaking. In the dream, I was on the deck outside with a bunch of my friends from back home. We were all sitting in a circle. My friend Eric was there talking about how creepy the woods were. He was saying how the trees were just big black silhouettes and anything could be out there watching you and you'd never know it. He was sort of freaking me out, but I kept trying not to show it. I know what you're doing and it's not gonna work. You're not gonna scare me. And Eric sort of narrowed his eyes at me, saying, I bet I can scare you. Something about the way he said it made me uneasy, and I was like, all right, very funny, you can stop now. But Eric wasn't smiling anymore. He was just staring back at me. The whole mood seemed to shift at this point. Nobody in the circle was talking anymore, and it suddenly got really quiet. No sound except the wind and the lake below. Any trace of joking has disappeared from Eric's face. After a long minute, he slowly cocked his head to the side a bit and said, is there someone here with us right now who shouldn't be? All of a sudden, I was too scared to break Eric's gaze, afraid I'd see something I didn't want to. For a long time, we just stared at each other. Nobody said anything. Then very softly, Eric said, is there somebody watching you sleep right now, Greg? That's when I bolted awake. It was the middle of the night and I was alone in my room, but I had this weird feeling that someone had just been there in the room with me. I laid there in bed for a minute, too terrified to move, too scared to breathe even. And then I heard something downstairs. At least I thought I did. The house was always making noise, so I couldn't be sure. I hesitated for a second and then crept out of bed and walked down the hall, trying to be as quiet as possible. From the second floor landing, I could see the living room and part of the kitchen. Everything seemed normal. I could hear the wind blowing pretty loudly outside, so I figured maybe I hadn't heard anything at all. I tried to calm myself down. I was wide awake at this point, too shaken to go back to bed, so I went downstairs to get a snack or some coffee or something. I walked in the kitchen and then stopped dead in my tracks. There's a door in the kitchen that leads outside, and it was wide open. I know I locked it. I locked all the doors every night, and even if I forgot to lock it, I know I wouldn't leave the door like this. The whole kitchen floor is wet with rain. I'm calling a locksmith first thing in the morning to come change the locks. Shit. I want to leave, but I don't even know where I'd go. I'm alone out here. Should I find a motel? And I just realized my wet clothes are gone. She fucking stole my clothes. I'm not spending another night here.
Finally.
Nah, I feel like that whole dream that you have and your friend talking about like, Greg, is there somebody here who shouldn't be here? I would have woke myself up so fast.
People messing with me.
I would have been like, you got me messed up. Like, don't even say that. First of all, we in the woods and you talking about, and at nighttime and you want to talk about, is there someone here that shouldn't be here? Yeah, me. I'm the person who shouldn't be here. I'm sorry I haven't said anything in a while. I've been staying in a motel about an hour outside of town. When I left the house that night, I kept driving until I felt like I was far enough to feel safe. I called a locksmith, but they weren't able to come right away. And there's no way I was going back to the house without new locks. So I've been waiting it out here until I can go back. Basically doing nothing, jumping at every little sound and feeling crazy. Finally, a couple of days ago, the locksmith called back and said he'd come out. So I checked out the motel and got in my car to drive home. It was a pretty long drive back, and the closer I got to the woods, the worse I felt. In my head, I knew I was going back. Going back was wrong, but I couldn't just leave for good. I don't know. I can't explain it. I can't leave. I don't expect anyone to understand. I don't even understand. Yeah, we don't understand either.
Yeah.
Because we would have left. Anyway, I drove past town and reached the woods where the roads get worse and hard to drive on. They get twisty as you drive up to the house, and you have to be careful not to hit a deer. I almost always see a dozen or so deer on my drive, but today there were none. Not a single deer in sight. In fact, the woods seemed a lot quieter than usual. I could have been imagining it, but something definitely seemed off. I was almost ready to turn around when something darted across the road. It was so fast that I wasn't sure I saw it at all. I panicked and swerved off the road into the deep grove by the roadside. By the time I realized what happened, the thing was gone. I have no idea what it is. It was just a blur. And it wasn't a deer. It was red. Red like blood. Worse, my car was stuck. It's my mom's old car, this weak little 2-wheel drive, and I couldn't manage to get it out of the grove. I just sat there for a long time trying to figure out what to do. I knew it wasn't a good idea to walk the rest of the way, but if I didn't, I'd miss the locksmith and I'd have to spend the night in the house with old locks, or go back to the motel, which I couldn't afford. Girl, do you know how many friends I would have literally, well, this is 2018, but I still feel like GoFundMe is still a thing, so I would have had a GoFundMe account. Like, can y'all pay for my...
They also have to wait till like people can put money in there.
Then I would have just been in debt till that GoFundMe hit me. Because, yeah, I'm not staying here. Well, obviously I would have left, but, you know. I wasn't too far from the house, so it made the most sense to walk the rest of the way and call a tow truck from the home. I needed to meet the locksmith anyway, so I got out and started walking. Once I was outside, I realized I had been right about the woods seeming quieter than usual. I couldn't even hear any birds. Heck no, I would have ran back to town. It was dead silent. My footsteps seemed so loud. Every twig that cracked under my shoes sounded like a bone breaking. I was periodically checking my phone's GPS to make sure I was headed the right way. I had just rechecked my route, and I was about to put my phone away when I saw something that made my heart sink. It was another one of those artifacts, like the one I had seen on my first day here, but it had one of my gloves tied to it from the rainstorm last week. When I left my clothes by the fire to dry, there were a pair of gloves with them. So basically it's like a triangle thing that we had described earlier, but instead in the middle is his glove. I knew that the woman had taken my clothes that night, and this just confirmed it. I also knew I'd find the rest of my clothes before I even saw them. And sure enough, I had found more of those artifacts not far from the first. I found my other glove, my sock, and a bandana. Everything from that night except for my sweatshirt I had been wearing. I left them alone this time. I didn't want to touch them. All I wanted to do was get back to the house, get the locks changed, call a tow truck. I started jogging a bit, wanting nothing more than to get away from these stick things. But after a while, I started to think that I should have been home already. I slowed my pace, took out my phone, but it wouldn't calibrate this time. It couldn't seem to locate me in the GPS. Still, I could hear the lake off to my left, which meant if I kept walking along it, it should get me to the house eventually. So I kept moving and tried not to think about getting lost. I must have gotten turned around because I was walking for what seemed like ages. I found myself in part of the woods that seemed unfamiliar. I had no idea where I was, and then suddenly I saw something off in the distance. Something bright white, almost seeming to glow against the dark trees. Basically, it's like little white eggs, I think.
A big ass ostrich.
But they are definitely standing the contrast against them in the dark woods. I couldn't figure out what it was from a distance, so I went closer. Yeah, I would have ran. Trying to be as quiet as I could, when I actually got close enough to see what it was, my mouth literally fell open. It was eggs. Huge eggs, all in a cluster like a nest. They were enormous. It's hard to explain their size, but you can sort of see them in this relation to my boot here. Dang, these things are big compared to his boot.
Those the aliens from Alien.
Mm-hmm. Girl, you need to back up. First of all, they need a live host, so
live?
I know I said you need to back up because the face huggers don't play. I felt like I was dreaming. Before I even knew what I was doing, I touched one. Oh my gosh. I couldn't help myself. It was warm. I had a sudden urge to smash it and see what was inside, but then just as quickly decided against it. Yeah, I probably shouldn't.
Murder babies.
You probably shouldn't do that. The mama might be around. I felt sick, like I was going to throw up if I didn't leave right away. I left the clearing and tried to listen for the lake, then headed in that direction. I got to the lake shore and felt a little better. Since I was out of the trees, I had a better view of my surroundings, and I was able to pinpoint my house way down the shore. I never thought I'd be happy to see it. The rest of the way back, I felt like I had vertigo. I couldn't even make sense of everything that just happened. I still can't. I reached the house and somehow felt a little better once I was inside. The locksmith arrived a little bit later and changed the locks. I watched him work in a daze. I also had him install deadbolts. I called a tow truck and then got my car out of the ditch, but now I'm alone again and I can't stop thinking about what I saw. I can't figure any of this out. I don't know what's happening. I know I should leave, but I just can't. I can't. At least nobody can get inside tonight. At least I'm safe inside. I heard something. Someone was outside. By the way, just a side note, this tweet is on your birthday.
Oh my god, no.
I was in the kitchen washing a glass and I heard something outside on the deck, a scratching sound, and then it stopped. I thought I imagined it, but then I heard the footsteps. And for some reason, I just ran outside without thinking. You know, I'm just thinking that maybe you don't think these things through because you haven't shown me any sign that you do. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't even know if I'm scared anymore. I just want answers. I can't be sure, but I think it was her. I saw someone running into the woods. I'm not sure. I'm sure it was her, but I couldn't catch her in time. I thought about chasing her into the woods. Don't do that, but decided against it. I don't want to get lost out there at night. I turned around to go back inside, and that's when I saw what she had been doing on my deck in the first place. I shouldn't be surprised by these artifacts, but this one was huge and taller than me. And it had my sweatshirt from the storm tied in the middle. So basically, it's another one of those triangle things, and it has a sweatshirt, and it says, "Fear the new moon." Honestly, I'm just going to leave it there. I'm sick of this. You know what? At this point, I think I would be sick of this too. Well, I would have left, but still. I was about to go back inside when I noticed there was something written on the wall behind the artifact I hadn't seen before. Fear the new moon. What the fuck does that mean? I don't know where the woman got a fucking marker. Sorry. I don't know how fucking familiar she feels around my house and property. I hate that I consider this my house now. This feels normal now. I'm losing it. I want this to end. Whatever this new moon shit is, it feels like something's coming. Fuck this. It's been storming all day and into the night. Thunder and everything. I've stayed inside all day. Nothing has happened yet. Maybe nothing will happen. Still, I'm nervous. I've been freaked out all day. Maybe I shouldn't have stayed. I don't know what's wrong with me. I should leave tomorrow. I'm not even sure what I'm saying. I just need to occupy myself with something. Writing this makes me feel less alone. It's like I'm talking to someone. I can't do this anymore. I'm leaving tomorrow. First thing in the morning. I don't care about selling this house anymore. I just want to go home. I just need to make it through the night. I'll be fine if I stay inside. The locks are new and nobody can get in. I'll be fine. I'm going to get some wine and stay in the upstairs bedroom tonight. It'll be okay. She's here. She was in the cellar. Fuck, I practically ran right into her. She didn't even hear me because of the thunder outside. Her back was to me and she was standing dead still in the middle of the room, just staring at the wall. And girl, if I don't even want to stare at this picture long because this picture turned around and she's looking at me, I'm jumping out the window. I couldn't move. I was petrified. All I could do was stand there like a fool and stare at the back of her head. And then she turned around and she spoke to me. She said she wouldn't hurt me. She said she'd explain everything. I'm sorry, this is happening so fast. She's sitting in my living room right now. I can't believe this is happening. All I can imagine is her sitting on a couch and him like giving her
some tea.
Yeah, some tea and them just talking. Sorry, I'm trying to make sense of this. She says she'll tell me everything. I'll be back. Okay, so I'll try to relay everything she said, but there's so much of it.
Wait, are you writing this down as you're approaching her? Like, you're like, I'll be right back. Okay, here's what she said. What?
I'll try to relay everything she said, but there's so much of it. I can barely keep track of it all. I'll start at the beginning. First of all, somebody just wrote in the comments, sis looked like she glued shredded deer hair to her head. Like, what? The comments on Twitter be so wild. First, she says she made those stick things for my protection. She says it's dangerous out here, and she was trying to protect me. When I asked her what she was trying to protect me from, she was quiet for a long time. Then she finally replied. I could barely hear her. There are things in the water. I didn't really believe her, but I didn't have any rational explanation for the things I've seen, so instead I just listened. Here's what she told me. A long time ago, something came from the sky and landed in the lake. It brought something with it, something ancient and strange.
This is the story from It. That's how the clown came here.
The people who lived here began to commune with it. They protected it from the outside world, devoted their lives to it, and in return, the thing gave them gifts. The people were blessed with abnormally long, healthy lives and many children, but it all came with a price. I had so many questions, but I didn't know which ones to ask, so I sat there in silence and took it all in. The woman continued. In the beginning, there was just the one. It spent most of its time deep in the lake, slumbering, but over time, it made more. Instinctively, I asked about the eggs I saw in the woods. The woman nodded. There are so many of them now, she said. They come from the water to lay eggs, and the people take care of them. They hide them away until they hatch. And when they hatch, they need to feed. At that point, I was starting to put two and two together. I thought about all the twins I seen in town. She must have sensed my understanding because she spoke again. I told you there was a price. The people in this town are blessed with many children, but they don't get to keep them all. When the eggs hatch, the people must bring one of their own to the woods. The creature needs to eat. She was quiet again. Then she said, "They start with your eyes." I asked her how she knew all of this.
She ain't got no eyes. How do you mean? How did she know?
But I already knew the answer.
Yeah, like...
I know because it happened to me, she said. When I was a girl, my father brought me into the woods with the others and offered me up to the newborns. She turned her head towards the window, like she was gazing into the distance. They took my eyes. I waited until she was ready to speak again. It was a long time before she did. She told me how she was led to one of the eggs and how she watched it break open and how something came out of it. She doesn't know if she managed to push the creature off or if someone helped her, but she got away and ran into the woods. She ran until she couldn't breathe anymore. I felt completely bewildered. None of this made any sense to me, but at the same time it did, somehow. I had so many questions I wanted to ask, but I couldn't sort my thoughts. I couldn't figure out what to say. Finally, I asked, "Why are you telling me this now, after all this time?" The woman didn't say anything at first, and then she took a long, labored breath. "It's the same every year," she said. "They come out of the water in the fall, lay their eggs, and a few of them begin to hatch early. They feed on the animals in the woods. They need strength to make it back to the water. But most of them hatch when it's the darkest." She turned to me. Even without eyes, I felt like she was staring right at me. "Tonight is the new moon," she whispered. "Tonight is the ceremony." My stomach began to sink as realization set in. Realization about what was happening out there in the woods at this very moment. "We have to do something to stop it," I blurted out. I started getting out of my chair, but she shook her head. She said there was nothing we could do. It happens the same way every year. We can't stop it. But I wasn't listening anymore. I don't know what came over me, but I jumped up and ran out the door. Ran into the woods. I didn't even know where I was going. At some point the rain had stopped. It was dark and I couldn't see anything, but I could hear things all around me, things moving through the trees. And I could see lights in the distance, fire or flashlights. I don't know. I had no idea where to go or what to do. More than once, something ran by me in the trees. I was using my phone as a flashlight and tried to take pictures of the trees, trying to see what was out there. But everything was happening so fast. I don't know what these are. They look like people with barely any flesh on them.
They're like people who are flayed.
Yeah, like
the flayed men.
Like
That's
the
what they look
Boltons
like.
got to them.
Yeah.
Type crap. This is the clearest shot I could get. They all move so fast. And basically it's the same thing, except for this one is even closer and it looks even creepier. But it looks like a human skull with barely any face, like flesh on it.
You look pretty close to it.
I ran for what seemed like an eternity. Ran in circles. I had no idea where I even was. And then somehow I was back in the same clearing where the eggs had been, but they were all gone now. Nothing but bits of shells left on the ground. It was over. I was too late. It had already happened and they had cleaned everything up. I was too late. I stood alone in the clearing. The lights in the distance were disappearing and it was getting quieter. And just like that, I was running again, running towards the lake. I don't even know why. I couldn't do anything. Branches scraped my face as I ran blindly through the trees. I'm still here. I'm alive. I left the house after that night. I decided not to sell it. I don't think anyone would buy it anyway. I locked the doors and got in my car and I left. I'm home now trying to process everything.
Finally!
The morning after, it was so quiet and peaceful in the woods. It was like nothing had happened at all. I'm still not sure what to believe. It sort of feels like it happened to someone else, or like I dreamed it, maybe. Sorry it took me so long to update. I wasn't sure what to say. I still have so many questions. I might never have all the answers. But something happened out there, and I can't explain it, and I don't know if I could have done anything to stop it. But whatever it is, I can't let it happen again. That's why I'm not selling the house. The woman said this happens every year. If she's telling the truth, then maybe there's something I can do next time. I have to try. So I guess that's all for now. I'm heading back to school next week, so hopefully that will take my mind off of things. I need some sense of normalcy. I'm not sure when I'll tweet again. I need to take a break and get my head together. But I'll be back. I have to go back. I won't let this happen again. So yeah, that's the Greg thread.
Honestly, you know, it was a little long. A lot of stuff could have been taken out. Like the eggs Benedict. Why don't they have eggs? They never explain why there's no eggs in this town.
Maybe it's an insult to eat eggs.
Well, like, I thought it would relate to the little alien babies, but it really didn't.
Yeah. First of all, I don't know if I can go back to my normal life after knowing that creatures came from space to this planet. Like, if that's happened, what else is out there?
Yeah, I was like, this story, it was getting long.
I think that's a really good creepypasta. I think it was very intriguing, and this person definitely put a lot of work and effort into this story.
Saying, you know, the pictures are really good. You know, the video, the no eye lady, you know, and the floating cloak. Yeah, but like, it doesn't really explain though, like, why she got that cloak. Why she, like, you know?
Do you care about why she got that cloak?
I mean, I wonder why they're doing creepy stuff, but all they really need is the eggs. Like, if the monsters just eat people, why are you like messing with me? Like, I get putting the trinkets to save me, right? But you just breaking into my house.
Yeah, I feel like she was trying to help him, but then I felt like it was teetering on the line of like obsession and her just like being obsessed with him too at the same time. But yeah, that was weird. So everybody in the town just give up their kids, and they just happy because they live long, healthy lives.
That's just like in It. They like kill a few people, and then he goes to sleep for like 27 years, and the families are all happy until he come back out.
Well, this is different because it seems like every family has to like put up a kid or something. Well, I guess people who've had kids, I don't know if there's a certain age limit to what the monsters like. If they like younger veal like type kids, I don't know. But yeah, the story was I feel like it was pretty good. It was a pretty interesting story.
It was alright.
Thank you from the writer Charmy. But what do you guys think about this story? Did the story creep you out? The thing that creeped me out was her standing in her watching him, but her standing in the wine cellar.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish there was more to know about like this house, like the chapel thing and all that. There was a lot of questions.
Yeah, like never really touched on that.
This is like Pretty Little Liars. It's just a lot of loopholes and gaps that you're just kind of like, that's great, but like, what did that even mean? Why was that even? Yeah. And I don't know, what's his mom and his grandfather's relationship like? Does his grandfather know about this?
Yeah, like, what was all that about?
Did the mom have a twin and she get taken in there? Like, there's so many questions I have, but I do like this story. I think it was pretty interesting. I never listened to the Dear David thread, so I don't really know what that's about, but they said it's similar to that, so I think I'm gonna check that out. Well, you've made it to the end.
You must really like the sounds of our high-pitched voices and quirky commentary.
You might as well like and subscribe to our channel and hit that bell to be notified every time we drop new content. If you want to follow our social medias, they will be linked in the description box below.
Bye!
Love you! Peace.
Happy holidays!
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Happy holidays, Grinches!